that's my thing, is that, okay, let's forget all this, the magic, the psychic stuff, the alien stuff, and let's try to imagine how you would fake them. And that's where I run into a roadblock, because I'm thinking, as somebody who's worked with surveyors, knows surveyors work, who's done much building layout on a job site, and am familiar with the techniques by which you would demarcate things on landscape, I would go, okay, if somebody said, here, let's see if you can pull this off. One night you go out and here's your geometric shape. You got to create this in the field in one night. And I would go, oh, how the fuck am I going to do that? See, that's where I come up to this roadblock. And I don't know the resolution to that question, because that's how I've thought it through.
Now, tell me about the moon.
It's over there, moon.
Posted as the intro to this particular podcast, all right? If the moon was honeycombed, and there is some theoretical evidence to suggest that the mass could be honeycombed, in other words, really big caves throughout the mass of the moon. Did you get that?
Although
Graham?
there seems to be evidence that
what I said, really big caves. Okay.
That there is a solid core, a dense solid core. What I'm thinking now, if you cut the moon through the middle, you've got a rigid shell, you've got a dense solid core, and in between you've got almost like a honeycomb structure. And I think that seems to be, at least the papers I've read and so forth, seems to be a model that could be most effectively representing the structure of the moon.
Okay, so I'm going to exit out of there. And now 4 days after, or 3 days, 4 days after this went live, here's the headlines on a bunch of the science websites. Okay, let me grab it here, move it over. Here we go.
Nice.
Yep. And the other thing is, let's see, the cool thing here is
So are they saying that opening in the surface of the moon is a cave then?
yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then using the moon caves as a shelter. And then the other thing they make the point is that there could be hundreds of them. Let's see. Scientists have long theorized the existence of lunar caves, underground passageways formed through volcanic processes that are connected to the pits covering the moon's surface. Now, a team of international researchers has found the first direct evidence that the moon's deepest known pit connects to a cave that could provide shelter to astronauts. So they did this. Then there's, they say, oh yeah, Brad's right. The depth of 558 feet. But some of the others that have been studied, they don't seem to have bottoms, which is interesting. So, see where they say this, that there could be hundreds of these caves. So, yeah, lunar caves could provide massive benefits for astronauts and rovers as they can seek shelter from the hazards on the lunar surface, such as radiation, micrometeorites, and temperature extremes. The moon has more than 200 known pits, and I've shown a couple of those in my slides.
Is that
So anyways,
kind of the same kind of thing you'd call like skylights before?
Yep, you got it.
Yep.
Yeah. So then future exploration of moon caves. And there's been some buzz. And Matt Beall was impressed with this. The day it came out, he excitedly sent me a text with a link showing the discovery, like it says here, the discovery of the caves. So anyways.
So what was that? Goes back several years. What was that last little new information? Larger than we expected. Okay. Because I've, there's been so many Discovery Channel and History Channel and Science Channel things on the moon that I've watched over the years. I know they've shown things that are like, and they've proposed that, yeah, there could be cities-sized caves beneath the surface of the moon, and they've shown things. So I thought that kind of large stuff had been discovered already. So maybe it has, but it hasn't come out quite yet, or maybe they're not quite that large. But I know I've seen that covered on some of those documentaries.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where I got those 2 photographs of the what I'm calling the skylights. Yeah, right here, the moon has more than 200 known pits, such as the one at Mare Tranquillitatis, but it's a handful extend out to caves. The newly discovered cave will remain unclear. So,
or vent shafts, right?
Yeah. So
breathe under there.
Yeah, moon cave.
Yeah, auspicious timing again for you, though, Randall. You announcer of things large and world changing.
Well, I mean, like you said, Brett, you've known Brad for years now about this, and that's what I was saying. Is that I thought that the little video of us there up in the balcony is kind of appropriate, where we're kind of playing it up. There's some humor in it, but behind the humor is really this profound knowledge that could turn out. If this is as we go back to the moon now, if these caves are being colonized and stuff, hey, might as well rise. So yeah, I got this strong instinctive feeling that I needed to talk about it. And I didn't realize why until, in fact, he sent me the link showing the caves. And then I started seeing other people sent me links who had listened to the podcast, and I started seeing some buzz about it. So anyhow, I thought that was worth sharing. What'd you think, Graham?
Well, you've been a little hesitant about doing the full moon reveal. So, that's good that now you're starting to come out with a little bit more of your thoughts and feelings about the moon. So what's next? What's
next is that, my story is this, that most likely if we're reading the ancient legacies and the ancient traditions, we've already gone to the moon and colonized these caves. We've already done that. This is not a new thing. That is ultimately where this is going. And then
that's the thing, what dwellings are already there?
Yeah, who's already there? Could it be? And and there's a whole part of my hidden moon slideshow that's about all of these traditions. Yeah, we've already gone there. And there's stuff inside the moon.
Advanced Earth life that had to escape for one reason or another.
Yes. And it extends right up. It builds right up on the whole foundation of planetary catastrophe. And I was talking to Brad about this the other night and bringing up the point of, here you had over 50 Clovis sites in non-glaciated North America, highly active culture, quarrying and with settlements, apparently, campsites, hunting megafauna. We've got tons and tons and tons of remains of the megafauna that were inhabiting North America, unglaciated North America at the time of the Younger Dryas, right? I mean, we can't even tens of thousands of the remains of woolly mammoths, but everything down to not just mega mammals, but small mammals too, right? How many skeletons and how many remains do we have of Clovis people? Do you know, Graham?
Not a lot.
Well, there's one possible, the Anzac site, which is possibly a teenage girl, and that's it.
Wow, that is interesting.
Not even a complete anything.
So they left. They left.
One.
Yeah, they went away. They left and went somewhere.
Well, that's been the mystery for years. Why is there no remains? Why do we not dig up skeletons of the Clovis people? We find their presence everywhere, from coast to coast, from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to the edge of the ice sheet, but we don't find them.
Because
Didn't
even
take
if
us
they
for your
burn,
tips.
even if
This
they
is-
burn their dead, there would still be shit from accidents and stuff. You would think.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a mystery. But what if they were evacuated? Because somebody had enough foreknowledge to know the fact that North America was going to be ground zero at the Younger Dryas. So you
Yeah.
evacuate them. Well, where to other continents, other places? Well, obviously, but if we're willing to go a little bit out on the fringe, I could show you guys some shit. The ceiling of Dendera shows it very clearly. It shows the gods of Egypt entering the moon. That's even what the hieroglyphics translate at. Entering the moon.
We got a good look
They're
at
entering-
that. We ought to share that if not now, but soon, or another upcoming episode. But yeah, hey, welcome to Kosmographia. I started recording, so did we get everybody's attention there?
Ah,
We're not. No, wait. I don't know if we. I think we need to plan a big reveal.
Welcome back.
We got to plan.
Oh,
Listen,
that was pretty
I
surprising.
want all you guys in on it, but we need to kind of. Okay, how are we going to do this for maximum impact? We need that big reveal. Build up to it. Maybe sell some tickets and say we're going to have a big reveal at the. Is there any full moons during the?
ooh, that's a good question. I'll check that out.
Oh, it's going to be close because we just had one last night. So 28 days times 2. We just said it was 8 weeks. So yeah, we might have one.
almost right on. Let me get.
What
the
do
date.
you want to reveal that different than you just talked about, though? I mean, you don't want to
September
share what we
17th.
just saw.
Is the harvest moon? Does that count?
There we go.
Which one? Yeah.
Harvest moon.
Oh,
Yeah.
Harvest Moon. That would be a good one.
So we're talking about our trip to the gorge at Scablands Part 3, basically September 13th. Oh no, sorry, September 15th to the 20th.
September
basically.
21, yeah. Yeah.
So that would be right in the middle of it then, if that's it.
Yeah,
Full
on
moon
Tuesday.
during the tour.
On the Tuesday. Yeah.
So let's
the
see.
harvest
Yeah, we'll be
moon.
down Kennewick,
Kennewick, probably, right?
right?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, yeah,
long
Harvest
distance
Moon,
views
man.
there.
This will be good. This is perfect. Look at this photograph of Harvest Moon over Japan. Where is it? Here we go.
Wow.
Doctor.
Yeah, Harvest Moons are famous for being, and the full moon closest to the September equinox is called the Harvest Moon.
Wow.
It is
Darren,
unique because the moon rises close to the same time interval several days in a row. And it's one of the most impressive full moon rises in the year.
It says it right there. So it's 10:34 p.m. That'll be that's probably Eastern time, right? Maybe we can see what time it rises, Darren. We can catch a view of
Yeah.
it.
I think we would want to see it rise.
That's
Yeah.
probably Greenwich Mean Time. I don't know. It depends on the article or where it's from. Time and date. Yeah, it's probably.
Oh yeah, and I tell you what, if we had some,
Well, the full moon just rises at sunset, so it's going to be
Yeah.
right around 6 or
Yep.
7 o'clock. Right around then.
what we want
You got it.
ideally is a vantage point from which we can see both horizons, because then you see that
Yes.
effect is very impressive as you see, sun going down, moon coming up. I mean, a lot of people will really get the cosmic architecture when they see that and they get that. That would be awesome. So we need to.
I
do a
know
little
I know the
research.
spot. Yeah, we need.
Brad's
we need
got
to, we
the
need to do Kennewick. Yeah, I was going to do it the next morning, but yeah, no reason we can't do it that night.
Okay. All
Brilliant.
right.
All right.
Should we make
Wow.
a dinner? Should we make a dinner out of it? Maybe if we can do a catered dinner or something out of it.
Well, I think after that we'll head back to the hotel for dinner and the big moon reveal presentation.
Dun dun dun. Yeah, most people haven't gotten that. Don't realize that. It took me a long time, but yeah, as Darren was saying, as the sun is setting, the full moon rises opposite.
Yeah.
All right, and so you can stand there and look both ways, and you're in the middle, and
Yeah.
feel at one of those moments you get to feel the rotation of the Earth.
Yes. Right.
It happened to me at in the Hawaii crater on Maui. We got up there for the rise and the set. It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. And like Brad just said, you know, it's like you can actually, if you're just very focused, you can actually see the rotation of the Earth. It's like right at the bottom of the threshold of, what you could see.
Perceptibility.
Yeah, perceptibility. Right.
That's a word.
All right. How
I
about
think
that,
that's a
Darren?
word.
Sounds
I think
cool.
that sounds. I think that does sound cool. I mean, I've seen the most of the moon presentation, and I've read all the books that were sort of mentioned in it. So I'm excited to just keep sort of cracking that thing open. I really am.
Yeah, good.
And people can go to contactatthecabin.com and click on the gorge, Columbia Gorge with Randall, and get their tickets that way. But they're also on randallcarlson.com, his site as well, too, right? That links there. And it'll take you to an Eventbrite page. And there's still tickets left.
Yeah.
Definitely. As always, those direct links are right in the description of this video.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Only
randallcarlson.com.
20 tickets left, though. They'll go fast. There's only 20 spots left. So you guys are going to want to jump on that and get your spot picked out today, because right now is around the time that those tickets tend to start flying off the shelf. So go grab them. We're running out of privates. If you want a private room, you want to get on that pretty quick. But it's looking like great.
Middle of September, excuse me, Darren. Yeah, a couple weeks after Labor Day. So Sunday, September 15th, you'd be flying into Spokane.
The last 3 nights at hotel is it Hood River, right?
Down the middle of the Columbia Gorge, right?
Yeah, right on the river. That's going to be a great place to make a home base out of for a few days. It looks beauty.
Yeah, I was just there after the Scablands trip. Took a tour of the place and checked out several of the overlooks we're going to get to. Amazing space on the planet. Yes, come and join us.
It'll be warm too.
And this is the first one we're doing. This is part 3 of the Cordilleran Megafloods tour with Randall Carlson. And we've done Montana a couple times. We've done the Scablands annually. And now this one is, part 3. There could be another leg going farther out all the way to the Pacific Ocean, but that's just too much territory to cover on this one. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful sights, huge waterfalls, some special access. We're just telling them I've got us on some private property to see the evidence of the, not really varves, but the choking at Wallula Gap, which is what's behind me on the Columbia River. And then another Tammany Bar that we've talked about on many different shows, or Randall has talked about, got access into the gravel pit itself. Got a little tour with the staff geologist and the security guy. So
Nice.
get our people in there to see where the layers of the Bonneville flood are overtopped by the Missoula flood, and then there's some intermingling, and there's still a question of, hey, what was actually happening? But that's a site down there in Lewiston, Idaho, where the Snake River comes in, Clearwater comes in, and then it's the Washington-Idaho border. So yeah, very interesting place, and we're gonna have access to that site that we've shared many times on previous Cosmographia podcasts and some of the old classes that are on the GeocosmicREX channel. We're getting to go there. First time with a tour.
That'll be good, because we've done 5 Scablands now and 2 Montanas, but this will be our first time heading down the gorge. And the other thing people should know is that we're taking a bit of break from the flood tours. So if you want to get on a flood tour, now's the time. You're going to want to get on this one, because there might not be one for a year or two while we do some other stuff that we're not going to talk about just yet, but it's just as exciting.
But those who have participated in the floods tours, that's a big part of the foundation of everything else. Certainly, when we get
and they'll get like a sneak peek at the exciting stuff too.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And of course, every week new stuff is being discovered around the world, showing how vast these floods were and why. When you add that with that, now the evidence for, now that, what is it, France and Italy, the latest discoveries of evidence for the Younger Dryas impact. It's like
I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah, there's a couple new papers out there now. I haven't read them yet. I gotta get get
New
through
info for your monthly newsletter. Yeah,
Yep.
if you don't have that already coming in first weekend of every month, sign up for Randall Carlson's newsletter at the website, because you will get the early info on these tours also.
that. Yep.
Somebody
and the
just
latest
posted in
research.
somebody just posted in our chats too, our post contact at the cabin chats, that Randall has now converted PBS. PBS had a little Earth's hidden history documentary, and they say about 7 minutes in that water that carved out the channeled Scablands came from Canada. Randall has converted PBS. So there you go.
Well, look,
Nice.
Bradley and I have proof that we went to Canada, British Columbia in 25 years ago, exploring the evidence for exactly now where they're saying, now admitting that the water came from. I mean, the idea originated with me, but when I related to Brad, he instantly yeah, man, you're making sense.
Well, and I had studied a lot of maps too, so
Yep.
Yeah, it was just okay. You're on it. Let's go look.
Let's go look,
Let's
and
go
we
see.
did.
Yeah.
And here we are 25 years later, Brad, and they're finally catching up to us. But they're not, because we've moved ahead. We've moved the
Jumped ahead.
goalpost.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Well, yeah, we're going to be showing them the impact site soon.
Yep.
Where's the impact site?
In your backyard,
My backyard?
Well, to your east.
more or less.
Yeah.
Like Hudson's Bay?
Mm. Well,
Oh, that far east. Oh,
Not that far. It's like a 10-hour drive, I think.
that's on the tour wish list as well.
More than
Yeah.
one. More than one.
There's polar bears up there, dudes. I don't know if we want to fuck around with polar bears.
well, that's true.
That might be a bit much.
You mean they're still alive? I thought they were all dying from climate change.
We need a stronger waiver. Well,
No,
in
there's
Alberta,
more than ever. I mean, they're not talking about the polar bears too much anymore, because the polar bears are getting out of hand. There's so goddamn many of them.
yeah,
know,
the
they're-
same thing's happening in Alberta with grizzly bears right now. They just brought back the grizzly bear hunt because there's too many grizzly bears and they're terrorizing people.
Uh-huh. So,
Surprise.
Well, I have some maps here. Do we want to look at some maps? I've got some photographs.
Yeah, it looked like you were getting ready to pull up some images. I'm fine with that. We can go into some of the more places we're gonna see on the Columbia Gorge Tour. One of them's actually behind Graham. That's going to be our first major stop the first morning.
Oh yeah.
That's at sunset. We're not going to make sunrise, but there's a chance we'll be there early enough if we get the crowd together and up and moving, that we'll still be there early enough to see some shadowy hills jumping out at us in the morning. Versus going sunset, we're going to see how early in the morning we can get there. It's about an hour south of where we're staying in Spokane.
So are
Palouse
both
Hills.
of you guys going to be there?
Yes.
Good. Well,
It'll be
that's
my
good.
honeymoon.
Then in the morning, if I'm still sleeping, you be okay with carrying me in the cot up to the top
Shoot
on,
We'll make
the
a
end
big
of
on
the
the
van.
van.
stretcher, and then at sunrise I can lift my head and look, and then go back to sleep.
We'll just camp you out up there.
Hey,
Oh,
there,
okay.
there might be a sunrise van. I bet some people would be up for that.
Well, then after
That's an interesting little extra right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hmm.
I don't think, yeah, I've never seen sunrise from that vantage point, but yeah, I mean that is Graham's up there. That his backdrop is Steptoe Butte, and that's always an amazing place to get a really the broad view.
Because that view behind me is 360. Like it goes all, you can just turn around and it goes all the way around.
Yeah, yeah.
Long distance.
How far is the drive from Spokane? It's about, I think sunrise is 6:29 a.m.
About an hour.
Yeah, it's about an hour, a little more. Because it takes 10 minutes to zzz around and round 3 times up the mountain, up that cone.
Yeah, that's
to get
right.
to the
So
top.
that'd be a 5:30 a.m. departure at least.
Hmm.
Maybe 5. I mean, Graham will drive the van.
That's a rough way to start out the busy week,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I'll volunteer.
somebody be
I'll
up for it. All right. Hardy
Sunrise
bunch.
Steptoe on the
Hardy bunch.
16th.
Yep. So then we're going to head down across the Palouse Hills, down in to overlook of Lewiston, go check out the Snake River, and then get into that gravel pit at Tammany Bar, all on the first full day one on the Monday.
That's going to be quite a day. Well, let's pull up the map. I've got a map to pull up, and we'll just look at that, and then we can look at some images. We'll share. Okay. I'm guessing. Oops, you guys are seeing this.
But yeah, okay, you're screen sharing again. Yeah, I mean, we just kind of jumped into it here. We've been away from this for 6 months. There's a lot of things been going on. We've been to conferences, we've been on trips, we've had tours.
Yeah.
People got their own things going on, so we're gonna catch up. But we had the moon shocker, and now we're reviewing some of the tours. So there's more stuff to get into here now that we're doing episode 109 here of Kosmographia with Darren and Graham from Grimerica joining us. Probably the second podcast Randall was ever on. Is that right? Joe Rogan first, say, and then Graham and Darren with Grimerica. Is that accurate? 2014 or 2013 even?
It was early on.
It was 2014, I think, was the first. Well, you know, it might have been late 2013. I better check now because when did you guys come to town?
2015.
Oh yeah,
maybe that was the second time.
Yeah, because that was kind of our first trip together. Really, was we followed you guys out west from Calgary, from Okotoks, the big rock. Yeah,
that's it.
Yep.
Yep. All right, so yeah, good to have you guys with us here as we resume here with 109. Yeah,
we're happy to be here. So it was July. It was July 2014 was the Grimerica Randall Carlson appearance, which kind of helped put us on the map too. So it worked out well.
Well,
Beautiful.
So we've been kind of working together
10 years
for
10 years, Dave.
over 10 years now.
That's right. 10 years this month.
Right at it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right at 10 years.
Happy anniversary, gents.
Yeah. It was unplanned. It's unplanned podcast on the 10-year anniversary.
And like I said, we're all still friends.
We're all still friends.
And we're planning our trip as we go along here too. We're just adding things to the trip.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, you can see Steptoe Butte right here on the map. Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Hit that F11. I always like full screen. More
yeah,
map.
Yeah. Thank
more
you.
map.
Yes. More map. There we go.
Oh yeah.
That's better. And then we're going to head south. And what'll be our next stop, Brad?
After Steptoe Butte.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go across the Palouse Hills there down.
Yep.
You can see that road comes out of Pullman and goes down into the canyon. I don't want to give our whole itinerary away, but we're gonna go down to Wah Canyon there. Follow the road along the river down into Clarkston.
Yeah, and we'll get this overlook here, right?
Correct.
That is an impressive overlook. When you come right up here and you're looking down, you see the whole. This is where the Great Bonneville Flood met the Great Missoula Flood. And there's some interesting stuff. And Brad has really done something great here. He's contacted the Tammany Bar people. Do we want to talk about that?
I mentioned a minute ago. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that's
I think you were looking for photos. I was talking about getting a chance to go down in there first time.
I will zoom in here.
We've snuck in a few times at the edges and the fences, but now we're actually gonna get on site with a tour. Correct.
All right, you can see Tammany Creek coming down here, and it flows into the Snake River. And this whole thing right here is Tammany Bar, and it's right at Hell's Gate State Park, and it's a gravel quarry. But this whole thing was built. Stop that. The whole thing is built out of the sediments of the Missoula floods, back floods, and the Bonneville floods coming up out of southern Idaho. Right? Let's go to
the quarry's right there to the right of where it says Hell's Gate. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So all of this in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So what they've done is, because they're quarrying here, you can get in and you can see this amazing architecture. And I'll pull up a slide here in a second so that you can see it. While I've got it open, I could do it right now, I believe.
So Hell's Gate, right? So it's just beyond the opening of where Hell's Canyon comes into the big plateau there, and then you get into the this turn and crook, and then that's when the bar was created, right before it hits the Clearwater River.
Yeah. So all of this in here really comprises the bar. But
so yeah, we might get into that park also before or after our little tour.
Uh-huh.
Did you take that picture, Brad?
I think
no, yeah, we were out there together. That's one of our very first trips out.
Yeah, you see that I got that arrow. That arrow is pointing to Brad down there at the
Scale man.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I've been there multiple times to that overlook, but that's still one of the best pictures.
So I'm going to reshare screen 2. There we go.
That's because it was film probably and not digital.
You're
I bet
onto
it
something.
was
Yeah.
film in those days. Yeah.
Yep.
So there's the gravel pit. And then I go here. Yeah, this is the, get this out of the way. Here's the bar here. There's Tammany Creek. So this is Tammany Bar. And the next picture is taken from across the river, looking down onto it. Oh yeah, it even says right there, gravel pit. So it's gravel pit's been there a while. Now this is an enhanced U.S. Geological Survey 1 to 24,000 topographic map. All right, so we're across the river from this vantage point, looking down. Here's Tammany Creek coming in. So we're looking to the east, and then right in here is the gravel pit. So all of this in here is the bar that you can see. So you had the Bonneville flood coming from the south this way, and you had the Missoula flood coming from the north this way. And we're going to zoom in on this area right here. That area. Here we go. So now you can see there's some talus type material sitting at the bottom that creates this slope, but you can see that all of this, you see that there's two very distinct types of sediment here, right? You've got this gray, darker stuff, and then you've got this buff colored on top. So all the gray, darker stuff is the Bonneville flood sediments. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that the Bonneville flood is going downhill, and the Missoula flood sediments that are the buff colored stuff on top, they're going uphill. So it's a backwash, right? So all this water that's come down like the Palouse and the Cheney Palouse and hit the Snake River, it reversed the flow of the Snake River. It backwashed all the way up to Tammany Bar. And you can see right here the cross section of the bar. So you've got, we'll zoom in here even closer, and now you can start getting a look at the texture here, which is very interesting story. So there's no ambiguity. I mean, you can very clearly see the distinction between the two types of sediment, right? And so all of this, and you'll see closer up here in the next slide, but it all has foresets in it. So here the foresets are tipping to the north, which means this water flow is coming from right to left. So left is to the north, right is to the south. And then the Missoula flood sediments are coming from the left. They're backwash, and it's coming up on top of this. The key thing here, I think, to notice is that there's no evidence of a separation or a hiatus of time between the deposition of these two layers of flood. You know, that's the thing that we would want to determine, and we may be able to determine this when we go to actually now tour this gravel pit, and we can maybe hopefully talk to a geologist if they have an on-site geologist or a chief of operations or something. Simply ask them, is there any evidence of, grasslands, savanna, forests, trees, shrubs, anything between these two? Because if there's not, that implies that the deposition of the Missoula floods was very, very soon after the deposition of the Bonneville floods. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what would that layer look like if there was going to be a layer of, say, some grassland or 100 years of grass?
Well, you'd find evidence of the plants, and if there was 50 to 100 years between the two or more, then you'd probably even have trees growing there. So there should be evidence. You should find sticks, branches, leaves, anything like that would leave a distinct calling card.
So that must be that's like 4 brads or 5 brads of the bottom layer and like 4 brads of the top layer.
Well, that's
Is that Brad?
No, this is
and a guy named Mark, and he's probably 6'6". So
yeah,
you can kind of figure from that. He's a tall guy.
He's a tall guy. He's no longer.
Man, that's
with
a
us.
lot of water to leave. Like what? That's got to be like
No
25
shit.
feet of sediment on just the bottom one.
Just the bottom. And
Well,
hey,
and what's
go ahead,
fallen off? Well, that hill that he crawled up to get to it, there's more behind that, right? I mean,
Well,
that's
yeah.
just what is exposed.
yeah,
Oh,
if you
right.
go-
So that'd be probably twice
Double,
as.
double
yeah, you
it,
can
yeah.
see it keeps going down here.
And this whole fascia has been removed. It's been quarried. It's gone. There's some new stuff exposed, but it does show very, very similar features and layering. So we're going to get
So
to
what
see
is that-
something different than this.
What does that mean for the timeline when you talk about the younger driest flood and the one that we look through the Scablands? How does the Bonneville one fit into that then?
Well, to me, that's the controversial issue. Now, at this point, the flooding, there's no Cordilleran flooding that's dated to the Younger Dryas. It's all dating several thousand years older. And that's a whole discussion to have, whether or not that dating is accurate or not. And I think that there is some issues with that dating that would be legitimate challenges, but not to get into that here. However, there is evidence from of the catastrophic drainage through the Mackenzie River Valley north into the Arctic Ocean and south through the Minnesota River Valley, right there by Big Stone Lake, where Brad and I took Graham Hancock on our last or next to last day, which was the southern outlet of Agassiz. And I haven't seen the dating, but it looks like Agassiz was draining in multiple places. And the dating from James Teller is right at the lower Younger Dryas boundary. I mean, it's right there, within a few decades, and, a very narrow margin of error. So it's likely that those floods have been dated directly to the Younger Dryas boundary.
What produced the water from Bonneville?
Well, that was the overflow of Lake Bonneville.
What caused that?
Which is another tour in the works.
Another tour in the works. I'll back up though very quickly, and you'll see here.
And I will link again in the description the Kosmographia episodes that Randall does go into pretty deep detail on what we're looking at briefly here.
Yeah, and we are going to do, like Brad said, Brad's already done some recent scouting for a Lake Bonneville tour, a Bonneville flood tour. A little bit on Lake Bonneville. Area 20,000 square miles, maximum depth 1,033 feet. Great Salt Lake is the puddle that's left over from the end of the demise of Lake Bonneville. So we've got, elevation of the Bonneville shoreline at that number. And then the Bonneville flood was an overtopping of a sediment dam. And it took about a year for the water level to drop from this shoreline down to this shoreline right here. Right. And then what happened was you had soft rock at the Red Rock Pass, which you'll see in a second, soft sedimentary rock. So the lake rapidly rose up, overtopped the sill on the northern outlet. Took a year, they estimate, to cut down from 5,090 to 4,765 feet. And then once that soft sedimentary rock got washed away, it hit a hard granite sill. And at that point, the flood stopped. And you now had Lake Bonneville constituted at that level. And then throughout the Holocene, it's basically evaporated away to leave Great Salt Lake as the remnant of Lake Bonneville. So here's your Bonneville flood peak discharge, 35 to 41 million cubic feet per second. Total volume that drained 1,140 miles. So it actually is almost double, or is about double, the volume, the total volume of one Lake Missoula draining. The basin of Lake Missoula up to Lake Pend Oreille holds about a little over 600 cubic miles of water. The total volume here you can see was 1,140 cubic miles. Assumed duration several weeks to months. And so here's the pass that it breached right here, Red Rock Pass. And this is driving through Red Rock Pass. And this is looking west out across the path. So this was the drainage, the spillway for the overflowing waters of Lake Bonneville. And it came up through this way, diverted to the west, and then flowed out and carved out what is now American Falls Reservoir right here. And this aerial shot that I took. But we're going to keep going because we're not going to spend a lot of time here. Here's Bradley. This is some of the sediment left over from the flood. And you can see it's pretty serious stuff. And Massacre Rock State Park. I love this. This is one of my favorite all-time photographs. I mean, check this out. So talk about mute testimony to the power of this flood. This is the power of 40 million cubic feet per second that you see right here. And so here's the Snake River Gorge, Shoshone Falls, which is like Dry Falls, but it's got an active falls there today. However, during the Bonneville flood, it was completely immersed. So, yeah, so there you can get the idea. So here's Twin Falls at low water, but the entire scene here was submerged under the 40 million cubic feet of the Bonneville floods. All of this is eroded. Here's a huge cataract. So think Palouse Falls, right, Darren?
Yeah.
That's what you got.
Yeah.
Here.
How tall is that waterfall compared to Palouse?
Well, that's not very big at all. That would be less than 100 right there.
Is that one maybe more like the one we weren't allowed to swim at on the last tour?
I think it's more than that. But height-wise, maybe the same.
Yeah, probably.
It's a little counterintuitive because it's going north, right? Instead of like when I feel like all the floods would go south all the time, but
no, Graham, we have to dispel that notion.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they go back, it's going back north, right?
It's heading west here and then north. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this flood that's coming up through here, that's the point you're getting now, that it met the Missoula flood. And what I'm really curious about is the hiatus between them. Check this out. Now, this next one, here's your scale invariance. So here's the modern Snake River in its channel, and here's the Bonneville flood channel. So here you go. Modern Snake River discharged 56,900 cubic feet per second, highest recorded historical peak flow. But here's the estimated peak discharge of the Bonneville flood, up to 40 million cubic feet per second. So 40 million
So 100
is
times.
divided
200
by
times.
56,900. So 700 times greater than the
700
modern
times.
Snake River, 700 times greater.
That's kind of what the river in Calgary looks like too. The Bow River, it's always down. It's always way down from the plains.
That's me and Bradley out there in the debris field. And you can see that this is the sediment load.
And this is stuff he shows on the Matt Beall also, along with some of the mood info.
So
yeah, go ahead.
Does the mainstream accept the Bonneville flood? Is that pretty?
Oh yeah,
concrete?
I
That's
mean, there's been rigorous work by professional geologists. It's totally accepted. Yeah,
it's just the timing.
The timing
in
is
relation to the other ones from the north, right?
Exactly. So then we get back to this, and now you can really clearly see the foresets. So remember that the downward tilt, it tilts down in the direction of the flow. So this is from right to left. And this is up in Tammany Creek. And here you can see, look, now, Graham, you can see the difference here now, can't you? Look at this. This is your Bonneville flood. And it's interesting that the last surge of the Bonneville flood has these bigger boulders. So there must have been some kind of constriction or something upstream that got breached. And that was like the final stage of the flood. You know, like if those floods are coming down, they're putting so much shear pressure on the walls of the channel that you're going to get landslides. So if you had like a landslide that fell down into the channel, now the water rises up behind it and builds up this pressure, and then it bursts through. I think that's how you would explain the fact that you've got this layer that you can see very clearly here, that you've got these larger boulders right at the top of the Bonneville flood layers. You see that? The other thing that's really interesting about this that you could overlook is you'll see this is you got your tilted, you know, here. This is more level, and the reason is because the steeper the gradient, the steeper the foresets, right? The faster the water is moving, the steeper the foresets. So as the velocity slows down, you can see the foresets, you know, getting more horizontal. But what you've got up here is this is like surges of like almost like muddy, slurry water backwashing, right? Then on top of that, you'll notice you've got this not quite, but almost horizontal layering in here, right? And then what happens right up here at the top? You got about 5 feet of this different stuff that actually, if we could zoom in on it, you'd see that it's got vertical orientation, right? So what is that? Well, that's the loess. This is the stuff that after the final flood layer was done, this stuff descended, settled out of the atmosphere onto the upper layer of those Missoula backflood muds, if you want to call them that. Now, this is 5 feet of stuff. Remember when Mount St. Helens erupted? You had places that were as dark as midnight, you know, 2 states away, from 6 inches of ash. What would the atmosphere have been when you had this stuff in the atmosphere? So that's the third component of what you see here. You had the Bonneville floods, and I'm thinking, see, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking you probably had earlier Missoula flood, back floods, but then the more rapid, more erosive Bonneville floods washed that away. But I don't know. That maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll learn some of this stuff going in. Maybe there's a, you know, God, that'd be awesome if there was a geologist to guide us through here and we could ask questions.
Well, that's something we can talk about, is see if there's somebody up at Moscow, either of the universities there at Pullman or Moscow, and have somebody come down and see us there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that, Darren and Graham. Yeah, well, we're
Where's
an
that
hour
last-
plus
what's
in.
the-
We probably want to take a little break here and move on. I mean, this is
Yeah.
all just really the first or the second big stop on day one of our tour. So, right. Darren, you know, by now you asked one question and yeah, we get distracted for a few minutes there on Bonneville, but yeah, all interesting stuff. But yeah, again, I'll post the links to the previous podcast where we have talked about these in depth. And we may want to get into some other topics here with this show, getting back into maybe a pattern with Kosmographia. But yeah, guys, let's take a break.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to get a drink.
Deal.
Been drinking a lot of pomegranate juice lately.
I've been
Okay.
eating way too many freezies.
You what?
Eating
I've been
freezies.
eating way too many freezies. It's the biggest mistake I ever make, is buying my kids freezies. And
Oh,
then all of a sudden I'm eating
And
like
you're
a
the
dozen
guy.
freezies a day.
okay.
All right, well, welcome back. Kosmographia, episode 109. Actually, first one realized without Brothers of the Serpent. So, hey, Kyle and Russ, we're giving it a try. Hope you guys are doing well. Yep, hadn't seen them since went to, well, they were at the Cosmic Summit. We all were down at the Eclipse event in Texas, right? So we've run into those guys, but they're staying busy. We're all busy. There's been some conferences, so we're going to get into a little bit of that, but want to do any wrap on the tour. Basically, we're talking about the first day there at Steptoe Butte and then down at Tammany Bar. We're going to get over toward Wallula Gap, and which is right behind me. A section of it is actually about 5 miles long. And then it opens up again. We're going to drive down right along the river a ways and then get into Columbia Gorge and stay there the last 3 nights down near Hood River. So lots of waterfalls. May want to check some of that out if you got some photos handy, Randall. But yeah, there'll be another chance to do some follow up, and we'll probably do a one tour specific intro before the date actually comes up. But like Darren said, we're about half full, so there's maybe 20 seats left. Join us, and after our little intro about the moon, Randall says there's going to be more once we get there. What are you thinking now about doing there, Randall?
Well, we should commemorate the beautiful September harvest moon, and that'll be coming right in the middle of our trip. And I think that would be a great time. There's no better time to integrate your consciousness with the cycles of the heavens than during a full moon. And so it would only be
Agreed.
appropriate that we have a little bit more full moon or moon disclosure. I won't say what it's going to be, but we will get into that while we're enjoying the harvest moon, which is going to be near the fall equinox.
And again, that tour is excuse me, Darren, but yeah, just give those dates again: September 15th to the 21st, coming up about eight weeks now, depending on when this is published soon. But you can find more info on randallcarlson.com, of course, and contact@thecabin.com. Our co-hosts on these Megaflood tours, Grimerica with Darren and Graham.
That's right. That'll be a September 15th. Check in around 4 p.m. and dinner at 5. And then we'll do a welcome meet and greet. We're right at the airport, so you don't have to worry about a shuttle or a ride or anything like that. You just get off the plane, walk across the street, and we will take care of you for the next 6 days, I guess, until we drop you back off at that airport around 2 or 3 p.m. again a week later, with a head full of knowledge and the moon presentation. And I've seen a little bit of moon disclosure at like 5 or 6 different events now. So if we're going to do the harvest moon thing, this is worth the price of admission right here. I'm telling you, though.
Well,
You
let's
don't
be clear,
get
it's not
the
going to
whole
be
shebang.
the full disclosure,
not quite the full
but it's going to be the next phase.
next
Oh,
phase.
hey.
So there's, I wonder how deep does this rabbit hole go? Because I figured we were like close to the end of the disclosure already, but we're just warming up.
We're just getting started.
No.
We're just on the rim.
I was looking at the moon last night, actually, with my wife, and it's already starting to get that, because it must be the full moon, right? Did you say it was a full moon yesterday, Brad?
Correct. Last night, the 21st. Yeah.
So I looked at it,
full
was
moon.
yesterday. It was last night, just
Correct.
out of but it had that orange tinge to it already.
Mm-hmm.
What does that get? Oranger and oranger each full moon until the harvest moon, or what was causing that? Because for a second I was like, is it the blood moon? Is it an eclipse? Or why is it starting to look orange already? Because usually that's not till the fall.
Forest fire smoke, maybe?
Oh, it could be the forest fire
It's
smoke.
probably atmospheric. Something in the atmosphere.
So speaking of that, before we switch bases, I want to get you to explain this, because I was trying to explain it to my kids a while ago, and I failed kind of miserably. How come it is when you look at that harvest moon and it looks so big in the sky, but I've been told by a bunch of people that if you could somehow measure it, it's actually the same size as it is all the other time. It's just like a weird optical illusion. And then someone else told me, it might have been you, but I can't remember, that if you like bend over upside down and look at it through your legs upside down, it'll go back to the normal size.
Yes, that's a fact that if you do that, or if you have somebody stand and spread their legs and then you look through their legs, then you'll see it. So there are different ways. And the more, if you have a row of people, like say you've got 3 people or 5 people, you know, and they're lined up. No, what it is, Darren, is you've got the perigee and the apogee. The perigee, the moon is about 221,000 miles from the Earth. And at apogee, its farthest point, perigee means next to, right? So it's closest, in the moon's orbit is elliptical. So sometimes it's farther away and sometimes it's closer. The closest it is to the Earth is at about 221,000 miles. That's perigee. Apogee is around 252,000 miles. So what's the difference there? If you go, 252, you're looking at, about 30,000 miles difference. So when the moon is at perigee, it's closer and looks bigger than when it's 252,000. Think of it, just over 250,000 miles is apogee, around 252. I don't remember the exact number, but it's in that ballpark. And that's the main reason. I mean, you can actually detect, obviously, the closer the moon is, the bigger it's going to look, right?
Well, there's also a factor. There's a factor of if it's on the horizon or not, right? Or if it's up high,
Yes.
because you get that
Yes.
effect of it looking bigger
Atmospheric
on the horizon.
lensing.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then that's
That's right.
also why you've got a total solar eclipse and an annular solar eclipse, right?
Mhm.
When it's farther away, it doesn't cover the full sun disk.
Right.
Man, you mentioned the eclipse, and it seems like that was a year ago already. It's hard to believe that was only what, 3 months ago.
3 months. Yeah, that's crazy.
Really? For me, it's just the opposite. I'm thinking, yeah, that eclipse was only 3 months ago, or no, it was 3 months ago. I thought it was
April 8th. Yeah, 3.5. Yeah.
yeah, it was a year from now. I'll go. Wasn't the eclipse 3 months ago?
Time flies when you're having fun.
I'll
And you
throw
guys
it-
have been having fun?
I'm having fun.
So you and Graham both went to Cosmic Summit. I missed it. How was it?
Let me
Oh,
let me
go ahead.
interject one more cosmic cycle because I just realized this or found this yesterday. Right, we're talking about the moon going around the planet, right? So our country is now 1 year old, but it's a year of Pluto. The orbit's 248 years, and our country's 248 years this year. So we're 1 Pluto year old.
I think we would say it's a Plutonic year.
I was gonna say plutonic, but somebody would correct me and say it's not platonic. It's
Not
plutonic.
It's Plutonic.
I have to be
yes.
very articulate with my plutonics.
With your plus
Year.
and your plas.
Plutonic year.
Yeah.
Is that the
so,
longest
so
one?
strange things that are going on in our first birthday here in our country.
Well, is it even a planet though? I mean, I thought it got demoted and then it got added back in, and it's just rogue. I mean, I guess that would be the longest one if it's still included, right?
Yeah, I lean towards it being a devolatilized Kuiper disk object personally.
It's
I'm
an
sure
orbit,
that's
it's
what
an
you thought
orbit
figured too,
that we
right, Graham?
know whether it's
Isn't
a
that what
planet
you-
or not. Devolatilized.
I
Kuiper
think it
disk
has to
object.
count. It's got to count. That's what I was taught in high school, in school. So
What were you
There-
taught?
There's some amazing photos they got a couple years ago, or whenever that was, 8 years ago now. That ice, big chunks of ice moving around and crashing in and making just mountains of ice. Yeah, fantastic. Anyway, yeah. So not to get into any political stuff, but there are things happening in our plutonic birthday one here in the U.S.
Well, not to
That's
get
for
into-
Randall's own podcast. That's something else we want to talk about. Some of our other
Sure.
projects. Randall's doing his own podcast where he will get into some political stuff.
Yeah, I've done some good things on climate change, on sea level rise, on tornadoes, on wildfires. I interviewed Will Harris and his daughter Jenny about regenerative agriculture. I interviewed Sean Webb on his mind hacking happiness and his work with Navy SEALs and psychedelics. So yeah, I'm going to cover a lot of stuff, but I'm going to be talking about, and so what I've done the last 3 episodes on just really zeroing in on the Tunguska event because that's important.
And that's called Squaring the Circle, and that's with Randall only, and it's on Rumble.
Well,
So
unless any of you guys
find
want to
Randall on
join
Rumble.
me, I mean, it's an open,
Find it.
the door is open to any, somebody who wants to join in. And yeah, I mean, I'd like to have guests. I definitely am going to have guests.
I have a shirt.
With Sean Webb, he was in the studio. And then I just did a interview with Beckett Fusick in the studio. But there were problems with the audio, so I don't know if we're going to be able to use it or not. And then, but yeah, I'm still figuring out where to go with it.
Is that a live thing, Randall? Are you doing that regularly every week live at all, or is that just something you're uploading later?
I'm not doing it live. I haven't done it live yet, but
Okay.
we've been averaging better than one a week, I think. I think we're up to 14 episodes now in 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, something like that. And I'm going to accelerate the pace. It was slow at first because I was really just getting my feet wet. I was having to, and I'm getting more adept at doing it, and so it's going to be easier the more proficient I get at figuring out. I had no idea how you use an audio mixer or the video switcher. Neither did Rowan. Rowan has been kind of handling that with, we've had some coaching and good tutoring from John Arthur Fiala, who is a professional, audio-visual guy, really knows his shit. So Mike Robertson met him through the Tesla Tech Conference, which is coming up next month. Is it next month?
August,
yeah.
probably. You got an
Yeah.
event in August, too, in Colorado, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to be doing the Gaia event in August, and it's going to be about the great year cycles. It's going to be primarily about cycles, and how modern science might be confirming ancient traditions of cycles. I'm only going to have an hour and a half. So, there's only so much I can get into. So that's what I'm going to be pretty much, I think, focused on there. And then the next thing after that will be the Gorge Tour with you guys. God, I'm looking forward to that. And here's the thing. It was that Gorge Tour in 1970 that really tuned me into something happened in that landscape. It really was. I mean, I was blown away and I'm very impressed by going through that gorge back summer of 1970, 1 year out of high school. And I've been back through it a number of times, and I don't recognize the specific places, but I'm quite sure, I remember the Hood River, some of the waterfalls. Can we show some of the pictures of the waterfalls we're going to see on this trip? Multnomah Falls. We're going to do Multnomah.
Well, yeah, they're definitely on the schedule for the last full day.
Okay.
Do a kind of waterfall finale there, but the one thing is they're planning to do construction on that road in the fall, and I'm not sure 100% yet that we're going to have access. I think we are, but if not, there's plenty other things to do. But we might miss 2 of these waterfalls, and the Crown Point overlook.
Ooh, okay. Well, check this out, Darren. What we're looking at, we're at the bottom, looking up into a cataract. You see that? The cataract, the U shape. And it's pretty clear that this stream did not carve this cataract, right? Would you concur with that, Graham?
Yeah.
Well, over millions and millions of years. But this was cut away. I mean, this is in the gorge, and basically this is the rim of this cliff is the high water mark. See, because you got a picture, you had a relatively shallow valley, right? With the pre-flood Columbia flowing in it. Then you got this huge flood come through and it carves this channel between 400 and 800 feet deep and leaves these sheer walls. So you can picture, Graham, right? It makes sense that you would have had tributary streams flowing into the Columbia. And then after the flooding is over, the gorge has been cut down 400, 500, 600 feet. You've got these sheer cliffs. So instead of flowing into a nice gradual slope into the Columbia, it now comes up and whammo, it's got these sheer walls it's got to go over. This is Multnomah. Look at Oneonta, which is the next one. Look at the undercutting here of the basalt layers. You can get a scale by looking at the human figures down here. This is a very impressive place.
Yeah, that one's awesome. I got some good photos of those columnar basalts hanging there.
Yeah.
Last trip.
Look at this.
You get wet and it's slippery, but you can go right up under those things behind the falls.
Yeah, but don't worry. I mean, you've got a better than 50% chance of living. And this is a view from Crown Point. And what's interesting about this, Darren, you see this knob? This is Beacon Rock, and it's a volcanic neck that is harder basalt than the surrounding softer sedimentary rock, which is stripped away by the floods. I would guess, and I don't have proof, but if you look at the top of Beacon Rock, that's probably very close to where the pre-flood valley floor was, right? And you can see this shelf was cut by when the water was at its highest, you can see the high water mark right up here.
Wow.
You see it? And at that high water mark, it cut this shelf. And then as the bottom of the gorge got deeper, then the water probably receded from its high water mark up here. It wasn't up here the whole flood, right?
Does the fact that shelf is flat like that, does that mean the water was at that level for longer?
Yes. In other words, it got this high, and there was probably, I bet you any amount of money, there's a natural bedding plane between the shelf and this, and that's natural for the water to pluck the rocks at the pre-existing bedding planes. So if you got a bedding and then you got a hiatus and you've got another layer on top of it, that would be the natural cleavage position within the stratigraphic column. For if you water, the shear forces of the water stripping it. See, you'll see a lot of the shelves are basalt shelves throughout the Scablands. We see a lot of those going up Grand Coulee, right? You remember some of those. You look over and you'd see that flat basalt shelf. This is not basalt this high, but this is basalt down here.
Do you have an elevation on that, Randall, on that shelf? Because I was thinking that Beacon Rock was 800 feet high, but maybe not. Maybe I'm off on that. Do you recall?
No, I think that's in the ballpark. But the bottom of it, basically would be down here at the river level.
Yeah. So we're going to stop there for the hardy that want to hike up that. It's pretty challenging. I think the number is 53 switchbacks in the stairway that's like anchored into the side of the basalt.
848 feet.
There we go. But yeah, it's worthy, but there's not a lot of hikes actually on this trip. There'll be a couple, and that'll be one of them. But that's definitely a strenuous one. But we'll be
How
doing
tall
that.
Steamboat compared to that?
Steamboat's about 800. I think.
Yeah.
So it's
pretty
about
close.
Steamboat wasn't terrible. So that's just a lot more elevation, a lot more quickly.
Correct. A lot of stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So now can I ask about the Cosmic Summit?
Okay. Before we
Sure.
do it, I'll just show. Here we go. I didn't realize this graphic was here. So this is just suggested pre-flood valley profile, and then based upon the elevation of Beacon Rock. Okay, so then there's the high water mark, and then after the flood, you got this. So
So hopefully we're going to get that view from Crown
Yeah.
Point.
Yeah.
If the road's not under construction, but I think we're going to be there early enough to get there. Yep. Check out randallcarlson.com or contact atthecabin.com for info on those tours.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was middle of June, right? It was right almost over the solstice, right before the solstice, I guess. I went to the Monroe Institute. You guys were at Cosmic Summit, Graham and Randall, and then Darren was across the pond in England at the Tychosium Symposium.
That
Yeah,
would have been
yeah.
a better name.
So what'd you guys find there? I just passed through. I had my own deal going on.
I just want to know how it was. You know, I missed it. I heard it was very paradigmy. So it had like a paradigm symposium feel to it and seemed like a good time. But I also heard that there was some scandalous stuff, like someone
Controversy,
broke the
maybe?
screen or some controversy, and maybe even some what do they call it when you wreck something?
Sabotage?
Sabotage.
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't know if we need to get into all that. I mean, I had a really good time. I mean, Randall had a lot of people, watching him all day long. I mean, he had an all day long workshop type thing in the main room, and there was 2 other workshops going on. So it was hard to choose, topics. So I chose to go to Malcolm Bendall's, and Bob Greenier was there, and Sheila talking about resonance. So I mean, it really was. I like that part of it because a bunch of people got to go see Randall, and a bunch of people got to go see Malcolm Bendall and all that whole thing. And then there was other people that got to go see Scott Walter and Jim Hogan, I guess, about the Templars.
Tim Hogan.
Tim Hogan.
Yeah, Tim Hogan. Yeah. So I mean, it was pretty amazing. I mean, I think Malcolm made some progress with the testing the technology. The thunderstorm generator was pretty interesting. I mean, they did some smoke testing on it. I think it was pretty obvious that they had a base model going without the contraption on it, and you could smell the difference between that and the one with they had the generator on it. So
what you're saying, Graham, then is that it passed the smell test.
It passed my smell test. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What did you think of the conference, Randall? And it was very professionally. It was professional put on. I mean, I'm sure there was some hiccups and there was a little bit of controversy, but I mean, overall, it was very well put on.
Oh yeah, my only regret was that because I was on for a lot of the time, I didn't get to see a lot of the other speakers I wanted to see. However, I can get the the recordings of the whole thing and watch them at my leisure, which I definitely intend to do. Because I mean, there's a lot of those talks I didn't get to see, and you realize it was one of the bigger audiences I've ever addressed. I mean, there was like 600 people in that audience there, right? So I don't think they believed me, Graham, when I started out and I said, before we get going here, I always like to kind of know my audience a little better. So could we go around the room and each of you could in turn stand up and give us your name and your preferred pronouns? But we didn't do that. I didn't insist on that. Okay. But a little bit of levity to start the thing, which is important, especially if you're going to be talking about anti-gravity forces. Start with levity.
There you go.
If you
Clever.
But yeah, there was I had a great time. I had a lot of fun there. I really did. I had fun. I know there was a few controversies, and that's regrettable, but they weren't.
So that should still be available to access on live stream. You should still be able to purchase that, right, and see all the speakers.
Yep.
I think it's pretty reasonable. I'm not sure. Is it $69 or $79?
It's something very reasonable.
Yeah, for 20 plus speakers. It was multiple stages going on Saturday and Sunday. I think. And then so lots to catch up on.
Some total of it is, I mean, great stuff. Great stuff. Chandra Wickrama Singh patched in, and he did a presentation, and Luke Caverns, he's been exploring Central and South America, and he's got some amazing stuff. I mean, it's incredible. And then, next month, the Tesla Tech Conference has got a really great speaker lineup. And they're going to have in-house demonstrations and a lot of practical stuff, getting into all aspects of Tesla-related stuff and plasma physics. And it's going to be a rich smorgasbord of stuff at the Tesla Tech. And I think you can get, I think it's $99 for 4 or 5 days of stuff, worth of stuff.
That's the
an
same
amazing
location every year.
Yeah,
in
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah.
But go to Tesla Tower, go to my website or Randall at randallcarlson.com. I'll have a link on there. Your howtube.com. Yeah, have a link. And if you buy a ticket through there, I get a little bit out of it, which is good. Because I can always use a little extra boost now and then to, everything that's over and above what I need to live on, that's going into, let's get this story out there to a bigger audience. That might be something we could talk about, because there is some interesting potential here in the pipeline over the next 6 months to a year about where do we go with this, and what level do we want to take it to, and do we want to go beyond just interesting discussions, but academic kind of, or stuff that's not really. I mean, at this point, I think we're looking at the whole thing, like what's going on with UAP disclosure, and I'm using UAP rather than UFO. You've been following that closer than I have, I think, Graham. But it's one of those things that I've avoided, but it sort of imposed itself on me, whether I like it or not, and pressuring me to go there. And that's one of the reasons why I'm feeling like, well, with other signals I'm getting, that's what's telling me it's time to get into some of the moon disclosure stuff.
Ah, I see.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because of Malcolm's stuff too, and the Tesla Tech. It all fits into the UAP thing. Right? I mean, the disclosure needs to happen for the energy, the free energy, for that reason, really, if anything.
Yeah, and I think that right there, this could be like a major connection, because given 4 years ago, I knew almost nothing about plasma physics or plasma energy. I was complete zero. Now, I started out, then I kind of went through kindergarten, I think first grade, and I think I'm about ready to graduate into second grade now with it. But give me another 6 months to a year, maybe I can get out of grade school. But what I do understand at this point is leading me to think, well, if there is an energy system, a type of technology that is being used by, by the UAPs, it's got to be this. I mean, it just seems to fit all the criteria. And if it's not this, what is it then? But I mean, there's so many signals that suggest, that is the next evolution in mankind's utilization of the natural energies of the universe, is the plasma. And I think that, there's a lot of interesting connections to explore here. Like, for example, and we won't get into this discussion, but there certainly does seem to be, because of that fact that we know that plasmas naturally want to cohere into vortices, right? And those vortices seem to be fundamental to so many processes. What you were saying about Sheila's work with frequencies. I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff she's doing. She's taking some of those numbers, the frequencies that I've been teaching people about, into drawings and stuff for decades. And she's modeling them in 3D and showing them their changes through time, their frequencies. 432 is a frequency. It's a number of vibrations per second. And
they're coherent, which is weird. So
yes.
she plugs all of Malcolm's, like all of them from specific areas in, all of these numbers you're talking about, these sacred numbers, and they're coherent. And you can't really do that if you do random numbers. Like, it looks like a fuzzy jumbled mess.
Right.
So she's using an oscilloscope, and it's coming out clear. Actually, we have her on the show tomorrow, which will be like July 23rd. But this will probably come out afterwards. But by the time this comes out, we'll probably have a show with her. It's amazing work. It really is.
Oh, it is. Yes. And it really, it's like the next step, the next level of making sense out of why this canon of numbers has been so important, so universal, so intrinsic to all of these things that have gone on through history all over the ancient world. Yeah. So, I mean, and then there's the other link, which is probably the key to the mystery of crop circles. But we won't
Well,
get
I was
there.
just arguing with some Englishmen about crop circles.
Who are you arguing with?
Some Englishmen. Oh man,
And what was the nature of the argument? Or the
Darren was
Well,
probably saying they were fake.
James? Is it James? It's James, right? James from the UK. It
Yeah,
was
I think
James
so.
from the UK. He's a crop circle enthusiast. He was kind of pointing me out to some place I could go maybe see some crop circles or where they normally happen, and I was kind of busting his balls. I tend to bust balls on crop circles because for like the 5th or 6th episode of the show, we had on a crop circle maker. So this guy was going out and he was claiming a bunch of these different crop circles he made, and Graham got really offended by the episode, and
Well, I would like to see his examples because listen, in my work, we do job layouts. We have to get out there. We use a transit. We lay out things. We set out building lines. We, in a way, I mean, if you wanted to go a little bit more elaborate, like for example, I mean, we built things that are octagonal. So you go out and you lay out an octagon on the ground, right? And clearly, we use, I'll have a fiberglass measuring tape that's very accurate, and we'll use a transit and we'll use a laser level, modern stuff. But I know that if we're going to go out to lay out a job, we got a 3-man crew, and it might, if it's a larger job, it might take us the better part of the day to get the whole thing laid out. Now, my thing is I'm looking at some of these crop circles, and I'm still straddling the fence on them. But what's coming to my mind is that, okay, if these things are fake, if they're being done, some of them are really elaborate, you would have to, how do you do that? I mean, if I was going to, I'm used to like having a team of 10 guys or more. We're organizing for, okay, how do we go in there? It's going to rain on Wednesday. We have to have all this layout and everything done in one day. So get it organized and do it. Now, if I was taking that same approach to crop circles, I'm going, okay, I've got to get out there with a crew. We're going to be working in the dark. So I suppose we've got to have night goggles on, right? We have to come out there unseen, get in there, and to lay out something of the intricacy of some of these crop circles would be immensely challenging to do it, even in broad daylight over several weeks, right? That's my point. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not somebody who's come up with some way of doing this and do it over and over and over again and never get caught, right? Never get caught. And if it's not 1 or 2 guys out there doing these things, it would have to be a team. So what do? Do you bring them in a bus and everybody gets out with their night goggles on and they get out there without leaving a trace into the fields, and they never get caught? See, I just, it's like, to me, to tell me that they're all fake seems to me as outlandish as to say that they're done by aliens. They just don't make sense. And if it is fake, if people are doing it, and I mean, some of the ones that I've seen, the aerial photographs and stuff, it would take me hours to draw the thing on paper, much less go out in the field and draw it over 100 feet or more.
Well, I mean, there's definitely some fake. I mean, some people have, but they're not all fake, because there's changes in the crops that are measured that can't be just trampled. You can't be bending those stalks the way they do just by trampling them. So there's some legitimacy to the mystery for sure, I think. But Darren, that's one of the ones that Darren and I kind of argue over and differ on.
I tried to commission him to make a crop circle just outside of the old town we used to live in, but he would have no part of it. And it was right under the flight path too. I was like, we'll get a bunch of publicity. It'll be great.
Wait. Who are you trying to commission to do a crop circle? The guy you were interviewing?
No, me.
Graham.
Who?
Graham.
Oh, Graham.
Oh, you and Graham.
Oh.
I don't
Well,
want to be part of faking it. Like I don't want to be a part of faking the make. Like I called it the faker maker. Like he was the the crop circle faker maker. I don't want to perpetuate the man-made circles.
Well, see, I can tell you this. On many of our jobs, we use a professional surveyor to come in and do a survey. And typically, even not a complicated job, a surveyor will come in. It'll take most of the day, set up and do a survey, mark out the boundary lines, get all the information on. This would be, some of those crop circles would be extraordinarily challenging for a team of highly accomplished surveyors to pull off. That's my thing, is that, okay, let's forget all the magic, the psychic stuff, the alien stuff, and let's try to imagine how you would fake them. And that's where I run into a roadblock, because I'm thinking, as somebody who's worked with surveyors, know surveyors work, who's done much building layout on a job site and am familiar with the techniques by which you would demarcate things on landscape, I would go, okay, if somebody said, here, let's see if you can pull this off. One night you go out and here's your geometric shape. You got to create this in the field in one night. And I would go, oh, how the fuck am I going to do that? See, that's where I come up to this roadblock. And I don't know the resolution to that question, because that's how I've thought it through. Okay, if it's fake, like let's say the four of us were going to try to do it. No, we wouldn't be able to do it. There's no way. Not in one night.
Well, we're not very artistic either. We're not very artistic.
Well,
bunch.
I'm a pretty fairly accomplished geometrician.
That's true. You should be able. So you should be able to just like throw some sticks in some ground and give me a rope and just say, hey, Darren, just go run around, hold the end of the stick, run this way. Then you grab that stick and go the other way. And
well, see,
I can stomp some 2x4s.
That's the misconception there, that somebody who is not, done that kind of work as for part of their profession might imagine you just put a stick here and you run over there. And you put another stick there and you do your knotted rope or whatever.
But circles are notoriously easy to make.
Oh yeah, sure. A single circle. Hell yeah. I mean, that's nothing, man. You put a stake in the ground and yeah, I mean, I can do it. I've done it many times just to demonstrate how easy.
We should make a crop circle or a sand circle, I guess, maybe on the trip. I'll try and come up with a design that we can pull off, like just quickly on the beach or something while we're on the tour, and see if I can get us to make a passable crop circle that gets you guys maybe on board with me. What do you think, Brad?
I'm thinking there might be some fields in September that they would let us out into to crush some things that haven't been turned under yet. Yeah. You draw it out. I'll go kick in the dirt and see what happens.
But what do you think about crop circles in general?
Well, I think there's both. There's definitely people faking them, but I don't really want to call it faking. They're making art to mimic what seems to be a phenomenon, right? But just like Graham said, there's stuff that's bent over 90 degrees and they're still growing. There's been some sort of heat treatment or some kind of whatever, and they're still healthy and growing with this 90-degree bend in them, So, and they go way back before there was GPS. I was joking a minute ago. Well, maybe somebody's designed something that you can have it and tell you exactly where to be in a field to draw something out quickly, maybe. But they didn't have that in the 70s or earlier when they started showing up. So right. I think it's a little bit of both, but I had friends that, it was Doug and Dave, right? So I mean, Doug and Dave came out in the freaking 90s, and that's what everybody saw. Oh, it was Doug and Dave, and then that was kind of the end of it for a while. I was like, no, come on, did you see those guys?
No, and see, that's where it gets just as absurd as to me, where people immediately want to go to aliens, right? Because I probably have as good of a grasp of what would be involved in pulling something like that off and faking it as just about anybody. I mean, because unless you've got a small group that has some kind of technologies that nobody else knows about, I mean, using off-the-shelf technology, like I said, I mean, what are you going to be using? I mean, you'd have to go out there and you'd have to set up a laser level. You'd have to set up a transit. You'd have to find a center point. You'd have to set up the transit. You'd have to calibrate it. You'd have to have night goggles, obviously, right? But, you know, one guy couldn't do it. Two guys couldn't do it. There's no way, not in a night. Two guys could do something like that. But again, not in one night. That's the problem. See, if it's being faked, somebody has really come up with something. I mean, they're able to get in there. They're able to deploy. They've got their geometry already completely mastered and figured out because they know exactly what they're going to do. They get out there, they find their datum point, they set up, and then within a matter of 6 hours or something, it's done. They clear out, they're gone, and they never get caught in the act.
I think you could have some big pole or something that elevates. You got drones now, right? It's got a laser on it. It shoots down some concentric circles, and then somebody's on the ground. And you know, there's ways. But I mean, there are people doing it, and they've admitted it, and they've shown their designs, and they're proud of it.
Well,
we know they're being made
night?
by people. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think,
I'm excited
I
to
think
see-
what
Yeah.
Randall was getting at though was that this plasma technology that you're learning about has all kinds of applications, creative applications, and it could be being used as they sort of utilize this technology in UFOs and whatever else, that they could be doing that as well to test our, I don't know, to test our discernment or to figure out how we're reacting to these designs in the fields.
What about natural? Could it be natural? Could it be like some sort of cymatics?
Well,
With
see, now
plasma?
that's a fair question. And
Well,
Yeah,
it is like
so-
Graham said, is it some kind of a message? Do we subconsciously, meditatively see this mandala and it means something internally? It's part of consciousness expansion at some level that you don't know yet.
okay, so
There's
here's
options.
this
The
is
work that Randall's going to talk about with the plasma stuff. You know, he was presenting with Chandra Van Ram. I can't pronounce his name.
Wickramasinghe.
Yeah, with his the new science of heaven. I mean, when you get into all the different plasma physics, Bob Greenier's work, and all the stuff that's like at the Cosmic Summit, it really sort of overlapped all these people talking about this stuff.
Well,
It's
that Robert Temple book, yeah, New Science of Heaven. I've recommended that to so many people. Absolutely.
yeah.
Says here the most crop circles happen in Wiltshire.
Uh-huh.
Well, like real close to Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. I was at Stonehenge. I just went to
Real
Stonehenge.
close to Stonehenge, yeah.
Dude, I missed the graffitiing of Stonehenge by like 6 days. And I could have been there in my cowboy hat
that a
taking
good
out
thing?
eco-terrorists.
Taking them out, yeah.
But I missed it. And Anthony was wearing his Grimerica shirt too. It would have been great.
Okay, so here's my final approach on this crop circle thing, Darren. I'm gonna ally
Oh
with you.
boy.
I'm gonna go, okay, I'm gonna side with Darren in this one. And I'm gonna try to think through like how you could actually pull this off. If people are pulling it off, they've come up with a system, a methodology that's pretty amazing. And the fact that they've been able to duplicate this kind of thing over and come up with these extremely elaborate designs, transpose them into a field, and they're doing this in one night. They've somehow figured out they've got a methodology.
For free too. They're doing it for free.
And I want to
Yeah.
know how are they doing it? In the same way that if I go, okay, wait a second, you guys just went out there and you laid out this big complex job in an hour, and it takes me and my crew 8 hours to do it. I want to know how you did that. You see, that's kind of how my approach. However, we do have this kind of work. Like this is from the late W.C. Levengood. He was a biophysicist, and he had over 50 scientific papers to his credit. So this is one of his papers, and he says it's entitled, it was published in Physiologia Plantarum, which is a journal of botanical research primarily. Studies, it's a bunch of botanists and guys who study plants.
Bunch of hippies.
Physiologia Plantarum. Okay, and this is in his abstract. Crop formations consist of geometrically organized regions ranging from 2 to 80 meters in diameter, in which the plants, primarily grain crops, are flattened in a horizontal position. Plants from crop formations display anatomical alterations which cannot be accounted for by assuming the formations are hoaxes. Near the soil surface, the curved stems often form complex swirls with vortex-type patterns. In the present paper, evidence is presented which indicates that structural and cellular alterations take place in plants exposed within the confines of the circle-type formations, differences which were determined to be statistically significant when compared with control plants taken outside the formations. So it goes on, but that kind of gives you the point. There are the issue that Graham raised about literally alterations in the plant structure itself.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing something about that a long time ago on like back when they used to show cool stuff on TV.
In
Well, I
search
wouldn't be
of-
surprised. So
No, they don't really show too cool stuff. But I seen Stonehenge. We actually parked at the old Woodhenge and walked all the way from where they say that the village of that the last people that were using Stonehenge lived, and walked that whole way. It's like I want to say it took about 45 minutes to walk, but you got to like walk up on Stonehenge through these fields and have it sort of just come out of the background and get bigger and bigger, and until you were there, and then you were just on the you were 5 feet away from the people that paid the money and went into the busy parking lot and queued in the kiosk, and we got to do it for free. So I thought it was a pretty interesting. Not only was it free, but it was a lot more of an authentic experience. And just getting off where there's 10 buses parked and queue, and you walk around this boardwalk and go along. It was kind of neat to walk up on it and see the horizon for a while. But the other cool thing I seen while I was over there was up in Edinburgh. I saw a Gothic cathedral type thing, but it wasn't really a cathedral. It was just like almost like an Eiffel Tower, like a weird Gothic Eiffel Tower. And then, of course, I went to the Canterbury Cathedral, which is the only cathedral I've ever been to, and I wasn't really sure what to expect, but it was mind blowing. It was crazy. I couldn't believe the intricacy of everything, of every little detail of everything that, if you made it today, it would just be a corner or it would just be an arch, but everything was ornate. From one corner to the other, every bit of it was ornate. The ceiling was probably over 100 feet tall. It was really something. It'd be hard. And you got the sense that you could have 1,000 people in there and it wouldn't get really hot because the ceilings are so high, and you'd still be able to hear whoever was at the front. I mean, honestly, to walk in that building, it's almost a religious experience in itself. It really is like, whoa, man, this is something else. This is on a level of no building I've ever been in my life.
Yeah. And when you walk out of that, you start thinking about the consciousness behind that and the level of organization and inspiration. Because transplant that now into Chartres, Amiens, Reims, Notre Dame, Lyon, Bourget, keep going. There was 150 years where the whole of European society was behind this project. Now, how do you motivate? How do you get that kind of unification around a specific vision? That we're going to build these incredible structures using this new engineering system that primarily uses tensile forces rather than compressive forces like have been used in virtually all architecture since the beginning of civilization. And you include the element of astronomy, because I can guarantee you Canterbury is oriented astronomically just like all the rest of them. So there was an astronomer involved in determining the layout. And see, and here, and this is where it starts. The template, you have to lay it out on the ground. So you start with a geometric model. You start with a 3D idea. You have your template, and then that has to essentially be duplicated in 2 dimensions on the ground. And then
wait, before we go any further, I got to ask this. So couldn't this like modern day circle making thing be like the new version of that? Like the like it's gone underground, and because that's, I mean, there is kind of that weird beauty in those things too, that you just look at them and you're like, wow,
Well, okay.
this is something else.
Interesting
This
question, but it brings me back to the thing that is the question prominent in my mind. What is the technology they're employing to do this? I mean, are they employing laser transits like I would be doing if I was trying to do it, duplicate it, or anybody else, or any surveyor that you knew using the technology that would be available within, shall we say, the conventional framework? It would be extremely difficult to pull off. It would be extremely challenging to pull off. Okay. This is not to say that somebody isn't doing it, but in the same way that, since I've been in this building industry, I've seen lots of changes, innovations that speed things up, just the shift from swinging a hand nailer to using a pneumatic nailer. But there's dozens of things like that, shifting from just using a siding tube, basically transit, to shifting over and using laser transits, right? Well, 20, 30 years ago, nobody's using laser transits. Now every surveyor is using a laser transit, right? What will they be doing in 20 or 30 years? Okay, so that, in the way I'm thinking about this problem, okay, if they're being hoaxed, well, what is the technology? Because I have a very hard time imagining that they would be using the standard surveyor's technology to pull these things off. See, if you were going to do this, if you were going to duplicate some of these, you would go out there, and what you would do, you would be setting up like theater lights around to illuminate the whole thing. You would carefully have to lay this out on a site, and then you got to flatten all this. But before you do that, you have to have the key points of your composition all laid out and determined beforehand. Just like when I go on the building site, I've got blueprints and I've got my ground plan, the plot plan it's called. And I go out there and I use that and I go, okay, we start out by staking. We run stakes where all the key points are. And that's only the first step. I don't know how you would do that, not going through the processes that I do. That's why I go, okay, I'm going to go and think, if somebody's doing this, have they come up with some technology that allows that within which they can do this? Because obviously I can do things presumably more efficient than my predecessors of a generation or two ago because I have more advanced and sophisticated technology, right? But using that sophisticated technology would still be challenging as hell to pull off some of these things in a single night, right? But now we have this. This is also from Physiologia Plantarum. You'll like this, Graham. It's called Dispersion of Energies in Worldwide Crop Formations. And here's what it says. This is also Levin Good, and he's got a co-author, Talbot with BLT. I'm not sure what that is. It's in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'll do this, and then I can be quiet for the rest of the evening. The findings reported here lend further support to a decade of research, get this, Graham, which suggests that over 95% of worldwide crop formations, are you ready, involve organized ion plasma vortices.
Wow.
That deliver lower atmospheric energy components of sufficient magnitude to produce significant bending, expansion, and the formation of unique expulsion cavities in plant stem pluvini, as well as significant changes in seedling development. Here we just demonstrate that in a number of formations, quantitative node alterations can be directly related to fundamental concepts of electromagnetic energy absorption through the atmosphere. And then it goes on.
So presumably someone inside our solar system is using plasma technology to make crop circles on Earth. Almost like a calling card for a reason, right? Because
we're getting into some really interesting territory.
What's the date on that?
So let's lay that out as a working hypothesis. Someone is doing it. Someone is faking it. And they're using a technology that the rest of us don't know about. Which then brings us to the question of, well, who are they? Who is doing this? Who's behind it? And what specifically is the technology? Well, this may be a very interesting hint. Right here, what I just read. This is a whole paper. And Graham, if you'd like this paper, I'll send you a copy of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's it from?
Well, it's from 1999.
99. Okay.
So according to the Book of Knowledge, there's an alleged 1678 news pamphlet, The Mowing Devil, or Strange News out of Hertfordshire, which is where I went for the Tychos conference. It was a weird little synchronicity. I was just in Hertfordshire, or however these guys say their weird words,
Sure.
a couple of weeks ago. Claimed to be the first depiction of a crop circle. And 1686, Robert Plot reported arcs of mushrooms called fairy rings. And in 1880, a letter to the editor of Nature by amateur scientist John Rand Capron describes several circles of flattened crops caused by a strange cyclonic action in the wind.
In the wind.
But those aren't caused by wind.
No, those aren't caused by wind. But yeah, I mean, look at those. Now, go for this one. Stop right where you're at. Second row, second from the left. That one. Enlarge that.
And that's huge too. That's a really big one.
Now, I'm going to tell you, man, to get out there in one night and do that. No, I mean, that, like I said, that would be enormously challenging. I don't know how you would do that using, like, if I got the best surveyors in the world with their equipment out there and I said, let's do this. I don't know how you would, I mean, I just don't know how you do it.
So you don't have like I was hoping you might just pull out some little sacred geometry trick that you're like, well, yeah, if you have a compass and a stick, you could whip this up in 3 hours, Darren. That's what I was hoping for.
No, I can't do that. I wish I could do that, but I can't do that. Now, what I would say, if there's somehow somebody is employing plasma technology here.
Man, it almost looks plowed. It's really crazy how well they, how flat they get it. I mean, it'd be hard to even just do that with a stick and get it that straight.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. How are you going to do that in one night? Dudes,
It's
I
like
want to
layered.
What?
There's like 2 layers.
Oh, there's the Taurus right there, in a way, right? That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is something I'm thinking about. Oh, there's one. Oh, there's Doug. Upper row, left, on the left.
Oh, there's there's me and Graham making our circle.
Yeah. So this is what I'm saying here. That's more likely to be the thing that, whoever they were, Doug and Dave. I mean, look at it. Come on. Okay. Yeah. So,
I think, yeah.
man.
There's several of those that are definitely been done by artists.
Which one there was done by artists?
I would say several of them that we've seen there.
Which ones?
Oh, the one, well, how do you describe them to separate?
Well,
They
the
all
one
have,
with all the circles in the field.
yeah, some were done by artists, but it's hard to tell just from these pictures here. But
well,
Man,
I
look
mean,
at the scale of that thing.
yeah, so there's the people lying inside it.
okay, so the first thing you'd have to do there is you'd have to go out and you'd have to lay out an accurate heptagon in the field. That would be the first step for that last one you had up there, the 7-pointed star. And then, yeah, you'd have to draw rings. That one perhaps could be faked. But again, maybe the issue is, the physiology of the plants. In the faked ones, is there a difference between the plant physiology in the faked ones and the hypothetical not faked ones?
Yeah.
Wait, go back. Oh, I mean, yeah, shit. Just look at that. Okay, right there, stop, all the way over to the right. Let's look at that one.
They're going to show us this whole thing here for Wired Magazine.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
some
the
of
one
those
there.
are pretty
That was
tricky to
it.
pull
Okay,
off.
now how does a bunch of people tromping around in the field in one night do that?
Yeah, you need to zoom in.
Do you know
That
how
would
much
be
work
tricky.
that
I'd
would
like to
take?
see that one.
I mean, come on. That's not doable by and you're out there at night, right? and you're trying to stumble around in the fields at night with what? Ropes and sticks.
Well, you see though, out on the outer rings there are rows, so it's not just one flattened band. There's like somebody could have done that 7 times going around whatever they had flattening. Can you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, as
yeah.
intricate
what-
as that is, I don't know if that's one that's claimed to be done overnight or
What's,
you know,
what's the diameter of that one there?
Yeah, you do have to be careful because some of them will be, oh, we took a weekend, we did it all day long, and you know, like they're not all done
Yeah.
overnight, but a lot of
Yeah.
them are. But I would say those, I can't remember the difference between these tram tracks. I can't remember what they're called, these tracks.
yeah, for the
Uh,
machinery, you'd have a standard width of those that you could
Yeah,
guess
it's probably
or
16
estimate.
feet. It's probably
Well, I
16.
think they're bigger than that.
Oh, yeah, they're bigger. Well,
Bigger?
Not all of them, but yeah, some of them.
So they might be 70 or 80 feet in diameter. Okay, so let's say you had 80 feet in diameter, times pi.
But yeah, that one that was so intricate that you started with, I don't know. It seems like that's over 100 yards. It's like 360 feet across. I don't know why I remember that, but I remember that.
Yeah.
That's
My
huge. When
God.
the
Well,
very one you
let's say
started with.
300 feet. So I go that times pi. So that's almost 1,000 feet in circumference. Okay, so that would mean that if you made that circumference 5 times, you've walked a mile.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're walking, 2 miles an hour? How long would it take you to, okay, you got
Yeah, you need a lot of dudes.
Half hour per circumference. Yeah.
I'm pretty good on my lawn tractor though, Randall. I don't know. I might be able to whip something up.
Well, there we go. See, now we're getting into the technology question. Are they
Yep.
sneaking in lawn tractors? Is that the secret? Lawn tractors.
Silent ones.
The silent lawn tractor.
They're the battery ones, the Tesla
Yeah,
lawn
they're
tractor.
electric. That's right.
But so if you've got a 1,000-foot circumference and you go around 5 times, you've had to walk a mile. So I don't know how, again, at night walking in a field. Now this is presumably, he's not just like walking down a sidewalk. He's having to crush the grain, right? So I mean, he's only going to be walking a fraction of the velocity he would be moving like in a normal walk, which is 2 to 3 miles per hour.
Yep.
Right. So it would seem that alone would take all night to do, if you could even do it all in one night.
Do you
right?
think it needs to be done locally, or do you think it could be like just like sort of like beamed out or done from, say, like the moon or Mars or something like that from orbit?
I don't know, but I would think that what it is, if I was going to try to think in terms of a technology, and the hint that we just saw here, the fact what did he call it? Organized ion plasma vortices. If he's onto something, then it's like, okay, how do we technologically organize ion plasma vortices? And then how do we transpose those into a crop field?
They're programmed
Yes.
like a stylus.
Yeah, exactly. See, like you've got some kind of a way of, could it be something akin to a focused, almost laser-like? I mean, and it would seem like you're done from above. I mean, again, the problem is you pick a field, and like to do those complicated things in one night, you couldn't. A couple of guys couldn't do that. I mean, you would have to have a team. So you got to get the team delivered to the site. It has to have been, and it's just like, those examples where, for example, they build a whole house in a day. They sometimes will have competitions where they'll get different crews out there and they'll all have a task and they have to like build a house in a day. Well, the fact that they build a house in a day didn't just happen. It meant that they rehearsed and practiced it for months, coordinating every single move. And you'd have to have that level of organization. I mean, if it's people out there tramping in the field, they would have to be so rehearsed, right? Now, can we show that the frequency at which these things happen, would that imply that there would have to then be multiple teams? Because I think, what is the frequency? I mean, how many will show up typically in a summer? Dozens, right?
Dozens, yeah. On the high
30 averages 30 a summer.
30. Okay, so that means on some considerable level of sophistication, this team would have to go out there and have rehearsed. And I mean, this isn't the kind of thing you're going to be able to rehearse and do in a couple of nights. You would have to have every move choreographed and coordinated right down almost to the second to pull something like this off in a single night. And yet that would be like saying, we're going to bring together an orchestra and we're going to play a masterpiece symphony. And 30 in a summer, what are we talking about? 30 over 4 months maybe, or 3 months? What are we talking about?
Probably 4 months, I'd call it. English summer is more
okay,
like
so
100.
120 days
crop
divided
season.
by 30 means that one has to be produced every 4 days. Now imagine you're getting a symphony orchestra who's going to master a very complex composition. They play it, and then they have to do it again in 4 days. You know that when you go and listen to an orchestra, they practiced for months to get it perfect. And we're looking at something.
I wonder why.
Go ahead. Yeah, you wonder
why would 28 of the 30, or sorry, I guess it would be 26 of the 30 be in Wiltshire?
I don't know. I have no idea.
The Wiltshire doesn't come up in any of your searching over the years or looking at any of that stuff. Nothing special
only as
about
being
Wiltshire.
only as being like a central location for megastructures, megalithic stuff and hinges and that kind of thing.
Because it's not far from Avebury, I wouldn't say either. Then, right?
Avebury's in Wiltshire, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah.
So that's where the standing circles are too. The standing stones.
that's
That's
what I'm
right where I
saying, yeah.
was. Yeah.
Now, does that mean that there's some unique property or energy or force? I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
I was amazed that there was nobody at those standing stones. I literally had the place to myself.
Really? Which standing stones?
The Avebury ones. I think it's the
the
biggest
Avebury.
one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I had to like steal parking at some pub across the road and had to like buy something there so it wasn't too shady, and then just walk there and there was nobody else there. We walked around the whole sort of thing, did the trail around, checked it all out. I mean, the whole site is kind of neat because you can also see where they like dug a moat up and piled up, there's a bunch of earthworks going on there as well.
Yeah. So I think, Darren, to conclude this discussion on crop circles, I would say this: if they're hoaxed, and I'm not sure what we mean by hoaxed, then to me a hoax, some guys out there in the fields with sticks and ropes and planks. Okay, my impression is that if somebody's doing these, they've figured something out and they're using some kind of technology that we don't know about. And that's not out of the question that there are people who maybe have some technological knowledge that is not generally known. And it's just people out there that have figured out some kind of, and the thing is, I'm not saying people out there to imply that it's people out there walking around in the fields, right? But the question becomes is if there is a technology being employed here, then there's two major questions that I would leave this discussion with. One, what exactly is the nature of this technology? And then who in the hell is it that's using this technology to do this?
The man in the moon.
Again, what and who?
It's an inside competition between Raytheon Bike Shop and Lockheed Skunk Works.
Is that what it is? Okay. Well,
With
who
their
knows?
nanobots?
I mean, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Yeah, who knows? Some defectors from there. I don't know. But I tell you what, let's get to the bottom of it, Graham.
Let's do it.
I mean, it could have been the people
This
that
summer.
were rolling around in airships 150 years ago.
Yeah.
But I guess it's as good a time as any to wrap this up, eh? We should get out of here. We're gone over 2 hours, probably almost 2.5.
Yeah, two and
Oh
a
my
half,
gosh.
getting close. Yeah. So I was going to ask, several things. I'll just hold on. We'll do this again eventually. But yeah, the Cosmic Summit had the Snake Brothers speaking, Uncharted X, Ben speaking, and playing. Right, Randall got on stage to play the drums. with $50 Dynasty and Ben. Is that right? So is that available on video? Because the theme of the show is $50 Dynasty, you know.
Yeah.
Kyle and
well,
Russ's band, and Randall got up there to play the drums with them. So I'm wondering
I
if
Oh,
did.
that's
that
part,
would be good to post.
if that's part of, you know, the live stream from the Cosmic Summit. Is that available for people to see?
Probably. I can't say for sure, but I would imagine that it was recorded. Yeah, I
Okay.
just wish
We need to look.
I just wished I'd had a time or two to rehearse with them, you know, because then I think I could have really gotten into the groove. But I kind of held my own. But yeah, if I could rehearse with those guys. But you know, I'm yearning and missing for the days when I played in a band. It was so much fun that obviously I got to get it going again somehow. And I know that in
Another
our
project,
vast
just what you
network
need.
of people, there's got to be some musicians that would.
All right. So, yeah. Missed those guys. Episode 109 in the books, though. Thanks, Graham and Darren. Good to have you with us. Happy 10th anniversary of Randall's first show with you guys.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Synchronistically here on 22/7, Ancients Pi Day even. We'll make a big circle of that, too. More to come. Check out the tours. RandallCarlson.com is the way to find everything. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody. You want
Excellent.
to add anything in, do it. But, yeah, we're
Thanks,
out.
guys.
Great
Thanks
show.
for listening.
The moon. Later.
All right, now tell me about the moon.
It's over there. Moon.